Hey everyone, welcome back to Heart to Horizon. Today I'm excited to dive into a topic that can be life-changing for a lot of people: avoidant attachment. If you've ever felt more comfortable relying on yourself than letting others get too close, or maybe you feel the urge to pull back when a relationship starts getting deeper, this episode is for you. Avoidant attachment often shows up as this deep-rooted instinct to protect ourselves, to keep our independence at all costs. But sometimes, it can also leave us feeling isolated, even in a room full of people. Avoidant attachment often starts in childhood, usually in environments where emotional needs weren't openly acknowledged. When we grow up in a space where emotions aren't prioritized or welcomed, we adapt. We learn to rely on ourselves, becoming our own emotional support system. And that approach works up to a point. The problem is, when we armor up too much, it's easy to get stuck. We end up missing out on the full depth of relationships, and sometimes even feeling like there's a barrier between us and others. But here's the good news. Avoidant attachment is a pattern that can change. It's not about becoming someone completely different or giving up your independence. It's about finding a balance where you can still be your strong, self-reliant self, while also allowing space for others to connect with you in a real way. So today I'm going to walk you through how to understand avoidant attachment and some ways to start shifting that pattern. So what exactly is avoidant attachment, and how does it show up? Avoidant attachment is like emotional armor we put up to protect ourselves. It's often based on an underlying belief that closeness comes with risks. Maybe risks of losing control, being let down, or even having to show emotions we're not comfortable with. When we fear vulnerability, we tend to keep people at arm's length, preferring to handle things on our own. We may avoid serious conversations, shut down when things get too emotional, or change the topic when it feels like someone's getting too close. Avoidance often feels safe in the short term, but over time it can actually add stress and even a sense of loneliness. Instead of risking rejection or losing control, we end up putting up walls that block the closeness we might actually crave. Now, let's talk about how we start to break down these walls and create a more balanced approach to relationships. Healing avoidant attachment isn't about becoming overly dependent on others. It's about allowing ourselves to feel comfortable with both independence and connection. The first step is recognizing the patterns. For example, do you notice yourself pulling back emotionally when things start getting deep? Do you avoid talking about your feelings because it feels uncomfortable or just unnecessary? These patterns are your clues. By noticing them without judgment, you're already taking the first step toward change. Next, reflect on what vulnerability means to you. For many of us with avoidant tendencies, vulnerability can feel like a risk, almost as if it makes us weak or exposed. But vulnerability, in reality, is a strength. It's about having the courage to open up and let others see us as we are. When you start to see vulnerability as a positive, it can become easier to embrace. If vulnerability feels daunting, begin with small acts of openness. This doesn't mean sharing every thought or feeling, but maybe start with little things. Share a story from your day, let someone know your opinion on something meaningful, or talk about a funny experience. These small moments build comfort over time, making openness feel natural and not overwhelming. Another important part of healing avoidant attachment is learning to accept support from others. There's often this feeling that relying on others makes us needy or weak, but that's not the case. Healthy relationships are built on both independence and interdependence. Allow yourself to accept help or even just emotional support, little by little. Start by letting a friend or family member do something for you, and remind yourself that accepting support doesn't mean losing control. Avoidants tend to disconnect from emotions as a way of staying in control, but learning to stay in tune with your emotions, even if it feels a little uncomfortable, is a powerful step forward. Practices like mindfulness or journaling can help you reconnect with your emotions in a safe way, letting you feel them without being overwhelmed. When we become more comfortable with our emotions, we're better able to share them with others. And here's something that might be tough: letting go of the need for total control. Avoidant attachment often comes with a strong desire to control situations to feel safe, but relationships are naturally unpredictable, and that's part of what makes them so powerful. Practicing letting go in small ways, like letting someone else make the plans or taking a bit of a backseat in a situation, can teach you to trust and lean into connection rather than feeling the need to steer everything yourself. Setting realistic expectations for relationships is also essential. Sometimes, avoidant attachment comes with the expectation that relationships should be easy and not require vulnerability. But all relationships have some challenges and require a mix of independence and closeness. Realistic expectations let us appreciate relationships for what they are, a balance of self and togetherness. And speaking of beliefs, it can help to challenge any negative beliefs we have about intimacy. For some of us, intimacy feels like a trap, a threat to our freedom. But what if we could see intimacy as something that enhances our lives, rather than something that restricts us? Instead of thinking that getting close to someone means losing yourself, consider intimacy as sharing and exploring who you are with someone who cares. Learning to communicate your needs is another big part of this journey. Avoidants tend to believe that others should just know what we need without us having to say it. But people aren't mind readers, and clear communication actually makes relationships smoother. Practicing honest, open communication about your needs and boundaries can help you feel more secure, while giving others a chance to understand you. Sitting with the discomfort of closeness is another way to grow. Closeness can feel intense, even overwhelming, for avoidant types. But by staying present in those moments, it actually becomes easier over time. Each time you lean into closeness, instead of pulling away, you're building a kind of emotional resilience that allows you to handle those moments with more ease. Building trust over time is another core aspect of healing. Avoidants tend to have a cautious approach to trust, and that's okay. It doesn't have to happen all at once. Just start with small moments of trust and build from there. With people who are consistent and supportive, trust becomes more natural over time. Of course, this journey isn't always a smooth one. Practicing self-compassion is so important, especially when healing takes time. Remind yourself that it's okay to take things slowly, and it's okay if you need to take a step back now and then. Healing attachment patterns is a journey, not a quick fix, so give yourself patience and kindness along the way. If you find this path challenging or want additional support, remember that seeking help from a therapist can make a huge difference. Therapy can provide a safe space to explore these attachment patterns, work through old wounds, and gain new tools for building secure relationships. Healing avoidant attachment is all about finding balance. You don't have to give up your independence or become a totally different person. Instead, it's about allowing yourself to be strong and self-reliant, while also making space for meaningful, fulfilling relationships. The more we learn to embrace both independence and connection, the closer we get to the kind of balance that leads to secure attachment. Thank you for joining me on Heart to Horizon. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe, share with someone who might need it, and leave your thoughts below. Until next time, remember to keep growing, keep exploring, and give yourself permission to find connection in a way that feels right for you.